Ladies and gentlemen, there will come a time in your life when the noise around you is deafening, when no one believes in you, when your dreams feel too far and your efforts go unnoticed. That's the moment that separates the talkers from the doers. That's the moment that defines who you really are. Because greatness doesn't happen when the crowd is cheering. It happens when the room is empty, when it's just you, your pain, and your purpose. Every champion you've ever admired has walked through a season of silence, a season where nobody saw the struggle, the heartbreak, the tears, or the sacrifice. But they didn't quit. They didn't broadcast their pain. They built their power. And when the time came, they shined so bright that the same people who doubted them were blinded by their light. Growth isn't comfortable. You can't evolve in ease. Every time you feel pain, understand this, life is trying to make you stronger. The pain you're running from is the very thing preparing you for your next level. When you choose to endure silently, you develop mental toughness. You train your mind to keep going even when your body screams to stop. That's how warriors are made. Pain is not your punishment. It's your preparation. While others talk, you train. While they sleep, you work. While they post about what they're going to do, you're busy doing it. Silence is your strategy. Every rep in the gym, every late night at the desk, every quiet hour spent improving your craft, it's all evidence of your commitment. Discipline doesn't make noise, it leaves results. Let your work speak for you. When life knocks you down, don't complain, adapt. When people doubt you, don't argue, outwork them. Suffering in silence teaches you control. It trains your emotions. It builds a mind that doesn't shatter under pressure. The strongest people aren't those who never feel pain. They're the ones who learn to master it. Every moment of struggle becomes fuel. Every hardship becomes armor. People will never see the nights you cried, the times you almost gave up, or the countless failures that broke you. They'll only see the success, and that's okay. That's how it should be. The beauty of success lies in the mystery of your struggle. You don't need validation while you're building. You don't need applause while you're growing. Your silence is sacred because it's where transformation happens. When you finally shine, let them see the glow, not the grind. Every painful experience carries a lesson, and if you stay silent long enough to listen, you'll find wisdom in the wound. Don't curse your struggles, convert them. Every scar you've earned is a reminder that you survived what tried to destroy you. The fire that burns you today will be the light that guides you tomorrow. Suffering is temporary, but the strength it gives you lasts forever. Silence is not weakness. It's power under control. When you stay quiet and focused, you conserve your energy for what truly matters, execution. You learn to trust yourself. You stop performing for others and start building for your future. The silent seasons are sacred because that's where the foundation of greatness is laid. You plant in private and harvest in public. You suffer in silence, and then one day you shine in front of everyone. So ladies and gentlemen, remember this. When it feels like no one is watching, that's when you're being shaped. When the world ignores you, that's when destiny is preparing you. Don't announce your pain, channel it. Don't seek sympathy, seek strength. Because one day, the world will see you standing tall, unstoppable, radiant, and they'll call it luck. But you'll know the truth. You suffered in silence. And now you shine in front of everyone. Pain is the price of progress because nothing worthwhile is ever achieved without struggle. Every step towards success demands discomfort, and every great transformation begins in moments of deep challenge. The truth is, growth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from resistance. Just like muscles grow when they are torn and rebuilt, the human spirit strengthens when it faces adversity and endures. When life becomes difficult, it is tempting to believe that the pain means you are on the wrong path, but in reality, that pain is a sign that you are evolving. Every time you step outside your comfort zone, every time you face fear and keep moving forward, you are paying the necessary price for greatness. Most people want progress without sacrifice, rewards without work, and victory without battle. But those desires are illusions. Pain is the currency of growth. When you embrace it rather than avoid it, you gain access to a level of strength you didn't know existed within you. The discomfort of discipline, the loneliness of hard work, and the frustration of failure are all stepping stones toward mastery. Every setback carves resilience into your character. Every sleepless night spent pursuing your dream teaches you patience, humility, and focus. The pain you feel today becomes the power that carries you tomorrow. It molds your mind into one that can handle greater challenges and bigger rewards. When you understand that pain is not your enemy, everything changes. You stop running from challenges and start running toward them. You begin to see the struggle not as punishment, but as preparation. The world's most successful individuals didn't reach greatness because their paths were easy. They reached it because they refused to let pain stop them. They used every failure, every rejection, and every disappointment as fuel. They didn't seek comfort. They sought growth. They understood that what feels painful now will one day become the very reason they are unshakable. Pain, in this sense, is a teacher. It strips away illusions, exposes weaknesses, and forces you to build strength from within. Pain also brings clarity. When you're hurting, when you're fighting to keep going, your priorities become clear. You realize what truly matters and who truly supports you. You discover what you're capable of enduring. That kind of knowledge cannot be taught through books or motivation alone. It is earned through experience. Pain introduces you to your true self. It tests your resolve and reveals whether you're truly committed to your vision or just interested in the idea of success. The people who rise above the rest are those who keep showing up despite the pain. They understand that every scar has a purpose, every tear is part of their evolution, and every hardship is refining them for something greater. There will be times when the process feels unbearable, when you question whether it's all worth it. But the secret is that the pain you endure today will one day be replaced by pride. The effort you invest in silence, the sacrifices you make when no one is watching, become the foundation of the strength you display later. Progress demands pain because without it, you would never grow the patience, endurance, or mental fortitude required to sustain success. Comfort weakens ambition, but pain awakens power. It's in those moments of struggle when you feel like you have nothing left that you find the spark to rise higher than before. The path to greatness will hurt, but every ounce of pain is shaping you into the person capable of handling the life you've dreamed of. Discipline speaks louder than words because talk is easy, but consistency is rare. Everyone says they want success, but only a few are willing to endure the quiet grind it takes to earn it. Discipline is what bridges the gap between intention and achievement. It's what separates the dreamers from the doors. When you wake up early to train while the world sleeps, when you stay focused while others waste time seeking validation, you are speaking a language only achievers understand. Discipline doesn't shout, it whispers through your actions. It's the invisible force that shapes character, builds confidence, and creates momentum. You don't need to announce your effort when your results are proof enough. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you reinforce your identity as someone who follows through no matter how hard it gets. That quiet consistency becomes louder than any speech you could give about ambition. Discipline is not glamorous. It doesn't come with applause or recognition in the beginning. It's found in the small, often unseen moments, the decision to show up when you're tired, to work when you're uninspired, to stay committed when no one is watching. It's a form of self-respect. You do it not because someone is pushing you, but because you've made a personal contract with yourself to stay the course. It's easy to make excuses when results don't come right away, but the disciplined person understands that progress is built brick by brick, day by day. They don't need instant gratification because they are playing the long game. Each small, consistent effort compounds over time, and eventually it manifests as mastery. Discipline is also freedom. It frees you from the chaos of indecision, from the guilt of procrastination, and from the regret of wasted potential. When you live with discipline, you are no longer a slave to your moods or impulses. You don't wait for motivation because you've built a system that carries you even when you don't feel like moving forward. The person who depends on motivation will stop the moment life gets hard, but the one who is disciplined will keep going regardless of emotion. That's the quiet power of discipline. It doesn't rely on feeling good. It relies on doing what's necessary. And the more you practice it, the stronger it becomes, like a muscle that grows through repetition and resistance. There's a reason the world respects those who work in silence. They understand that discipline doesn't need an audience. While others are posting about their grind, they're actually grinding. They don't need to prove anything to anyone because they know the truth success is not built in the spotlight. It's built in solitude. Discipline is the invisible architect of every dream that becomes reality. It's not about perfection. It's about persistence. It's showing up even on the days when your body aches, when your mind doubts, when your energy is gone, because it's in those moments that you are truly defining yourself. Every repetition of effort, every moment of commitment builds the foundation for greatness. When discipline becomes your way of life, you start to move differently. You stop comparing yourself to others because you know the effort you've invested. You stop seeking shortcuts because you understand that the process is what gives the outcome its meaning. The world will eventually see the shine, but it will never understand the silent discipline that made it possible. Discipline doesn't demand attention. It commands respect. It doesn't talk about what it's going to do. It just does it. And when results start to appear, when success begins to unfold, that's when your silence becomes the loudest sound in the room. Your struggles build an unbreakable mindset because every hardship you endure reshapes the way you think, the way you respond, and the way you see yourself. Struggle is not meant to destroy you. It's meant to forge you. The moments when life feels unbearable, when you're filled with doubt and exhaustion, are the moments that carve depth into your character. Without struggle, the mind stays soft and the spirit remains untested. It's only through facing adversity that you learn what you're truly capable of. Every obstacle you confront trains your resilience like a muscle, stretching your capacity to handle more, endure more, and rise faster after every fall. The unbreakable mindset is not built in comfort. It's born in chaos. It's the product of thousands of quiet battles, the kind no one sees, where quitting whispers seductively, yet you refuse to listen. When you struggle, you learn to control your emotions, to think clearly when everything around you feels uncertain. You begin to understand that life doesn't always go as planned, and yet you can still adapt. Struggle teaches you to detach from the illusion of ease. It reveals that real power lies not in avoiding pain, but in managing it, mastering it, and using it as fuel. When you face constant setbacks and keep moving forward, your brain starts to wire itself differently. You develop mental toughness. You stop expecting the world to be easy and start expecting yourself to be strong. That shift in mindset changes everything. It turns you from a victim into a warrior. You stop asking, why me? And start saying, try me. That's how champions are built. The beauty of struggle is that it strips away all excuses. It exposes weakness and forces you to deal with it head on. You can't fake strength when you're under pressure. In those moments, your mind learns to prioritize what truly matters. You begin to focus on solutions instead of problems, progress instead of perfection. The challenges that once intimidated you become opportunities to prove your growth. You start to crave discomfort because you've learned that pain is the doorway to power. Each struggle becomes a test that you pass not just with effort, but with wisdom. You start to see life as a game of endurance, not luck, and that realization makes you unstoppable. Struggle also humbles you. It teaches you patience, empathy, and gratitude. When you fought through hard times, you understand the value of peace and stability. You stop taking small victories for granted. You develop appreciation for the quiet moments because you know what chaos feels like. The struggles you face also help you connect with others on a deeper level. You begin to recognize pain in others because you've lived through your own. And through that connection, you gain strength because every struggle that once isolated you now becomes a bridge that allows you to inspire others who are still fighting their battles. Overcoming struggle trains your mind to trust the process even when results aren't visible. It teaches you persistence, the kind that doesn't waver under pressure. Every time you bounce back from failure, you reinforce your belief that nothing can permanently break you. The more you face, the stronger you become until eventually you realize that your power no longer depends on circumstances. The storms that used to shake you now sharpen you. The pain that once weakened you now energizes you. The fear that once controlled you now drives you. That's the essence of an unbreakable mindset. It's not about never falling apart. It's about knowing you can always rebuild yourself stronger than before. The world only sees the results because people rarely witness the years of sacrifice, self-doubt, and perseverance that lead to success. They see the finished product, but not the process. The trophies, not the trials. Every great achievement is built upon countless unseen hours of struggle, repetition, and quiet commitment. Success is often mistaken for luck because the work behind it remains hidden. The truth is, no one applauds you during the grind. No one stands beside you when you're working late into the night, fighting fatigue, battling uncertainty, and questioning whether your efforts will ever pay off. Those are the moments that shape you, the ones that can't be captured or explained. They belong only to you. That's why when the world finally notices you, it sees only the glow, not the grind that created it. People are drawn to the glory but forget the price. They don't see the sacrifices, the missed opportunities, the lonely nights, the failures you kept private. They don't see the mental wars you fought to keep moving forward when everything inside you wanted to quit. What the world calls success is actually a monument built on invisible pain. But this is the beauty of true achievement. It doesn't need validation while it's being built. It grows in silence, nourished by effort, discipline, and consistency. The applause always comes later, long after the struggle has already molded you into the person capable of handling it. That's why patience and persistence are everything. You have to be willing to live through years of being overlooked before you can stand in the light of recognition. The reason the world only sees the results is because transformation happens internally first. The breakthroughs happen in solitude, in moments of failure and frustration that no one documents. You change mentally and emotionally long before the results appear externally. The progress you make in silence becomes the power you display in public. It's like planting a seed. No one sees what's happening underground, but eventually the growth becomes undeniable. Every bit of effort you invest compounds quietly until one day becomes impossible to ignore. That's why the people who truly succeed are those who can work without needing to be seen, those who can embrace obscurity as part of the process. When you finally reach a place of success, the same people who doubted you will ask how you did it, not realizing that every moment of your journey was built on consistency they never noticed. The world only respects the outcome because results are tangible, measurable, and easy to celebrate. But the process is sacred. It's where your character, discipline, and mindset are formed. The long nights, the failures, the self-discipline, the repeated effort that yielded no immediate reward. Those moments are invisible to the public, but invaluable to your growth. Every success story has a hidden struggle that no one wants to tell because it's not glamorous. But that struggle is the reason the success has meaning. Without it, the victory wouldn't feel earned. The truth is, your job is not to prove yourself while you're building. Your job is to stay consistent, to keep moving even when no one notices, to have faith in the process. Recognition is temporary, but mastery lasts forever. The satisfaction of knowing you didn't give up when no one was watching is more powerful than any praise the world could give. The silence of your struggle becomes the strength of your success. And when the world finally sees the results, they'll see confidence, power, and greatness. But you'll see the truth behind it all, the lonely work, the unseen pain, the relentless belief that got you there. You won't need to explain yourself because your results will speak louder than words ever could. Turning your suffering into strength is one of the most powerful transformations a person can experience. It's the act of taking everything that once hurt you, broke you, or made you doubt yourself and using it as fuel to rise higher. Pain, when faced consciously, becomes a tool of empowerment. Every setback, every betrayal, every heartbreak carries within it a lesson that can either destroy you or define you. The difference lies in how you respond to it. Most people run from pain because it's uncomfortable, but those who learn to face it head on discover something remarkable. They find power within the very thing they once feared. Suffering forces you to confront who you are without the mask, without the illusions, and that confrontation is where transformation begins. Pain has a unique way of teaching what comfort never can. It exposes weaknesses, shatters pride, and reveals the depth of your resilience. When you're suffering, you're being given a chance to rebuild stronger. Instead of asking why something happened to you, you start asking what is teaching you. That shift in perspective changes everything. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstance and start seeing yourself as the architect of your future. The energy that once went into resentment or regret gets redirected into growth. Every tear becomes a reminder that you're still standing, still capable, still fighting. When you embrace your suffering and choose to learn from it, you transform pain into purpose. You begin to realize that the hardest experiences often give birth to the greatest versions of yourself. Every person who has ever achieved greatness has suffered deeply. They failed, been rejected, doubted, and misunderstood. But they refuse to let those experiences define them negatively. Instead, they use them as motivation to push harder, to think deeper, to love stronger. Turning suffering into strength means taking responsibility for your healing instead of waiting for someone else to fix you. It means transforming anger into drive, loneliness into focus, and fear into courage. It's understanding that what once hurt you doesn't have to hold power over you anymore. When you take your pain and channel it into something meaningful, your goals, your growth, your discipline, you reclaim control over your life. The truth is, pain never leaves you empty-handed. It either gives you lessons or leaves you bitter, and the choice is always yours. If you dwell on what went wrong, you stay trapped in the past. But if you use that pain as fuel, you create something new out of it, something stronger, wiser, and more unstoppable. The fire that once burned you can become the light that guides you. Every wound carries wisdom, and every scar tells a story of survival. You stop hiding them because they remind you of what you've overcome. They become proof that even in your darkest hours, you didn't surrender. That resilience becomes your greatest strength. Suffering is a gift in disguise. It forces you to grow, to adapt, to evolve. It strips away comfort and exposes potential. The people who rise from their pain aren't the ones who never fell. They're the ones who refuse to stay down. They looked at their suffering and said, "This will not break me, it will build me." And that decision, repeated over and over, turns every hardship into an advantage. The pain that once felt unbearable becomes the reason you're unshakable. The darkness that once terrified you becomes the contrast that makes your light shine even brighter. When you choose to turn suffering into strength, you stop being defined by what hurt you and start being defined by how powerfully you rose from it. Silence is the seed of greatness because it is in silence that real growth, clarity, and transformation take place. When you withdraw from noise, distractions, and external validation, you give yourself space to think, to listen, and to evolve. Greatness is not built in the public eye. It's built in solitude where no one is clapping, where no one sees the effort, and where every step forward depends solely on your self-discipline and vision. In silence, you meet yourself without filters. You hear your fears, your doubts, your truth. It's in those quiet moments that you begin to understand what you truly want and what you're willing to sacrifice for it. The world constantly demands attention, but silence teaches you focus. It separates the superficial from the significant and helps you channel your energy toward what truly matters. The more you embrace silence, the more powerful you become because silence is not emptiness. It's potential waiting to be activated. Greatness requires an internal foundation that cannot be shaken by opinion, failure, or fear, and that foundation is built in silence. The person who learns to thrive without attention gains control over their emotions and their direction. When you no longer need applause, you stop performing and start producing. You begin to understand that mastery is not about being seen. It's about being prepared when it's time to be seen. Silence allows you to build in peace, to make mistakes without judgment, to experiment without the weight of expectation. It's the space where your craft sharpens, your character solidifies, and your confidence grows. Every masterpiece begins unseen. Every leader, every creator, every visionary spent years in the shadows refining their skills before the world ever noticed their brilliance. In silence, you develop patience, the kind that can endure long seasons of obscurity without losing faith. You stop chasing quick recognition because you understand that real success takes time. You stop comparing yourself to others because you realize that everyone's journey unfolds differently. Silence becomes your training ground, your sanctuary, your teacher. It forces you to trust your process and to find strength in your own conviction. When you're not distracted by noise, you can hear the whisper of your inner voice guiding you forward. That's where clarity is born. In the world's chaos, silence is the one place you can think clearly, plan strategically, and connect deeply with your purpose. Silence is also a form of power. The person who can stay calm and centered while others panic has already won half the battle. When you don't reveal your every move, you keep control. You become unpredictable, focused, and unbothered. Silence gives you emotional intelligence. It teaches you when to speak and when to listen, when to act, and when to wait. The strongest individuals aren't those who constantly announce their intentions. They're the ones who quietly execute them. They don't need validation because they're too busy building. Their silence is not weakness, it's discipline. They know that energy wasted on proving themselves is energy stolen from progress. The seed of greatness needs stillness to grow. Just as a seed is buried underground before it sprouts into something magnificent, you too must be willing to grow in silence before you bloom in public. That silent growth is where strength, wisdom, and resilience are formed. People may overlook you now, but silence is shaping you for the spotlight. One day, when your work finally speaks for itself, the world will see only the brilliance, never realizing how long you labored in the dark to create it. Silence is not the absence of action. It is focused action without distraction. It's where vision turns into reality, where dreams take root, and where greatness begins to rise unseen until it's ready to shine for everyone to see.